Hello and welcome to the latest edition of R&B Reviews on Wandavision. I am Rob Thon, aka Rob, your host, and today I'm joined by
Darren Strange. Welcome back, Wandavisionaries.
Welcome back. So we have just watched the 8th episode, and for those of you that are tuning in, we've been reviewing every single episode. We've been discussing theories, the characters, and doing Darren's knowledge of comic books. And this episode is kind of interesting. I was really excited by the description on Disney Plus that it says basically that Wanda goes on a journey revisiting her for insight into her present and future, so revisiting her past. And I also got excited because they did the recap from the previous episode of when Agnes reveals that she's Agatha Harkness, which is who Darren suspected was all along. So we get a lot more answers in this episode, and a lot of theories are put to rest. So for those of you that haven't been watching the show, we do give spoilers, so if you have not seen the episodes, you probably don't want to watch the show until you have.
But they're cool spoilers.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. So the episode basically shows everybody Wanda's backstory a little bit more than the movies have up to this point. So this episode was like a Christmas Carol, with Wanda being the Scrooge, and she's being shown her past by Agatha, who's like a representative of the spirits. You know.
I totally agree with that. You hit the nail on the head with that one once again. Basically, Agatha is wanting to find out how Wanda did all of this. How she created Westview, how she brought back the Vision and all that. And we're going to get into that, those tidbits there pretty soon. But go ahead.
Yeah, okay. I'll go first. So just to let you guys know, we might cover the same ground, but we're going to be doing it from two different perspectives. So yes, we do. So basically, okay, I'll start at the beginning. Now, obviously, not only do we get Wanda's backstory, we get Agatha's backstory. So we start with 1693, where Agnes is about to be burned by who I thought was the Salem 7, but I counted 8, maybe 9 people.
Yeah, so they definitely went a different route with this one.
Yeah. And there was this figure standing close to her when she was at the stake. I thought it was going to be Nicholas Scratch, because you said in the comic books Nicholas betrays her.
Yes.
Nope, it wasn't Nicholas Scratch. It was I guess she must have been the leader of the coven or whatever. So I was disappointed that it wasn't her son betraying her. I do have a question, Mr. Comic Book Expert. In the comic books, does Agatha have the power to suck energy out of people till they die, or did they invent this for the show?
I'm glad you touched on this. I mean, as we said before, Agatha is a very powerful Salem witch. I did not know that she dealt with so much dark magic, how Marvel is portraying her in WandaVision. I do believe that she does have that power, well, obviously, right now, because Marvel depicts it. But I believe that Disney is all over this too, because I got a really big hocus pocus vibe from this. And you know the story of the Sanderson sisters, how they have to get children to restore their youth. And I was seeing that, that just that element in her, just like sucking the power from the witches and the youth from them, and her mother, the queen of witches. And I mean, I really tracked Agatha's backstory, and it really didn't give too much information about her mother, but you definitely see that she is the queen of witches, because when she has all her power, going on to really bring Agatha down, she has a crown on her head, and that to me was just really cool. But yeah, again, I mean, I saw like a lot of hocus pocus and the crucible just in this opening scene. And what I really loved, what Marvel did about it, is before we get to know the witches and we witness that Salem witch trial, the Marvel logo goes purple, which really sets the mood, and then it just like vanishes, and then we just get this awesome Salem scene of Agatha's backstory. And it is just a sight to behold. I mean, it is visually stunning.
Yeah,
really.
It is.
So yeah, to answer your question, I really do believe that she has that power and more now. I mean, Marvel is really depicting her really
but not in the
powerful.
But not in the comic books, from what you read.
In the comics, she's the elderly woman.
Yeah.
So we definitely see like that Winifred Sanderson sister vibe, you know, that Bette Midler gave in Hocus Pocus with Kathryn Hahn, because she's a comedian. Bette Midler is a comedian, and it was just really a refreshing take to see that, how they integrate everything. Marvel and Disney go hand in hand once again, and this scene depicts it. Yeah, we know how Agatha is staying young, because in the comics she is an old witch. She really is.
Yeah. And you did bring up an interesting point. Now it kind of feels like a Marvel movie rather than a TV show, homage show like it was in the beginning.
Oh yeah, we are definitely in the MCU now. I mean, how the screen is now, and it sets it up for a lot of fun ahead.
Yeah. Now, Agnes and Wanda apparently don't know each other, because I had this theory that they were working together at one point. I mean, I think in the last episode I said, now I know that's not true, because Agatha says she's been waiting for Wanda to reveal herself. So obviously they're not working together at all. Agnes wants Wanda to, like you said, tell her how she turned the show into town. So this also confirms that Wanda is controlling the town and the people by herself. Agnes is not involved. And another theory that you got wrong is she said she got close to knowing Wanda with Pietro, so Quicksilver was not Mephisto or Nightmare. Agnes created him.
Can't be right all the time. I know. Can't be right all the time. And I mean, I only know my comics. And what was kind of really disappointing about this episode to me was I really thought Agatha gave Tommy and Bille to Mephisto, and we were going to see him this time. Or they gave it to Cthulhu.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so I was also wrong about something. Again,
The cicada?
Oh, well, the cicada.
The cicada was not Mephisto. She gave the cicada turned into a bird, gave it to the rabbit.
Yeah, but remember, Mephisto was depicted as a fly in the comics, and he is a shapeshifter as well. So maybe I'm not wrong about that. Maybe I am, but Agatha really used the cicada, you know, for her transmutation into a bird. This metamorphosis, you know, she fed it to Senior Scratchy, and we got really an awesome scene out of that. I really loved how Agatha is holding Wanda like vulnerable here, you know, just tied. I mean, it was just such a really magical, awesome scene, dark scene. Yeah, the cicada she was just demonstrating her magic, and she's like, I can't believe you don't know this, and we're protected by these runes and all that, and she's like, how could you not know this? You're a witch, aren't you? And Wanda has no idea.
Yeah,
she is totally clueless, and I mean, we'll explain why that is in a few seconds here.
Yeah.
But I want to also get into the Agatha's runes too, that she's using to protect herself. Well, you could definitely see Wanda's looking around, and you see a big M, which could stand for Mephisto, or it can also stand for her father, Magneto. But the House of Magnus and everything that's depicted in 616, I don't think that they're really a magical family, so I would want to lay my money on Mephisto more than anything.
Okay.
I also see other just other symbols, which could represent Nightmare. It could represent Dormammu. I mean, it could represent all these, maybe even like a Celtic god, because she's also dealing with Celtic and Asgardian magic. In that scene, it's a really quick glimpse of a book, like behind Senior Scratchy when he eats the cicada. It has the book has on it a Celtic tree, which is kind of like an emblem of Thor and his Asgardian culture. So we got Easter eggs all over in this one opening scene. And it's just a sight to behold. Again, I mean, as well as the Salem scene. So I mean, I really loved this episode, but I had to watch it more than once to really get everything that, you know, Marvel was hiding in these nooks and crannies of of this wonderful episode.
Well, they did also kind of explain why Quicksilver did not look like Aaron Taylor Johnson. As she said, the body is on another continent, but also she said he's a crystalline procession, whatever that is. So I guess she was trying to go off of that. I think also, I think now when Monica first was talking to Wanda about her brother, I think, because Agatha said she was trying to spy off screen, and when she mentioned the brother, she's like, So that's when I think she got the idea from. But yeah, you just also mentioned that the boys did not get, I was wrong there about taking the Mephisto. You can hear them calling for help.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of Mephisto again, if he was to be introduced, I mean, I really do think that they're going to introduce all these villains in Doctor Strange. Multiverse of Madness. Yeah, all these villains come from the Dark Dimension, which in the last Doctor Strange, you saw him with Dormammu, and that's Dormammu's realm, because Mephisto kind of like rules Limbo, which is really an interesting fact, because in New Mutants, remember when Alana Rasputin, Magic, she went with her dragon to Limbo. That's Mephisto's realm right there. So we got that integrating probably with the X-Men or mutants, so to speak. And we can also have Ghost Rider in the mix too, because with Midnight Suns is Ghost Rider, Daredevil, Nomad. I don't know what Marvel is really just envisioning with this so far, with WandaVision and how it's going to link to everything, but definitely Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, because there is hexagonal clues everywhere, as well as in Doctor Strange there's hexagons on the spell books that he uses, and it's just setting up for something really big and really exciting. So I cannot wait to see what is ahead.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's talk about these past scenes. Something I noticed in some scenes, Agnes kind of makes Wanda recreate herself, and there's points where they just watch. Like, for example, the first scene where they go to her childhood, her dad brings home, Sokovia. Her dad brings home these boxes of DVDs of shows, and like I said, my mom said that in Ultron she learned English by watching these shows, and Dick Van Dyke's her favorite show. But the box had a bunch of other shows, and a lot of them showed up.
Right. Yeah.
Malcolm in the Middle. Lucy. Dick Van Dyke was hidden somewhere in the room, but
Addams Family was there.
It would have been good if they did an Addams Family show. Yeah.
Yeah, Addams Family was there, but we got more like when Agatha was introduced to us, like in her opener or closer, so to speak, which was very hocus pocusy as well. We got more of a Munster vibe, you know. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, it wasn't an Addams Family kind of song.
No.
Which that song is just still stuck in my head.
Yeah.
It was Agatha all along.
It was kind of nice to see, like you mentioned, Easter eggs. Like you see that the Stark Enterprises bomb destroys the house, but in that scene, Agatha's like, well, you didn't. It was there for 2 days, and then she's like, how did you do it? Because she's insinuating that Wanda had the power to do it, and she didn't know it. Yeah,
she definitely didn't know it. Like how she turned off the warhead, and I mean she saved herself and Pietro. Although this scene was actually said, it was actually referred to in Age of Ultron. When we first meet Pietro and Wanda, because they're with Hydra when the Avengers fights them.
Yeah.
It was like a heart-wrenching scene in a way. So sad. They're watching TV, and then the next minute, boom,
And the last line she says, she's like, and she refers to a Dick Van Dyke episode where she says something along the lines of, it was all a bad dream, none of it was real and stuff. That was kind of sad. And you mentioned Hydra in the next scene. There's a scene... Yeah, and in the Hydra scene, in the next scene, she's taken that Infinity Stone, and then something happens similar to what's been happening throughout the show. they're not her captors. The people she's doing the experiment with. They're watching a
Hydra.
tape back. Yeah,
It was
they're watching,
Hydra.
Yeah, they're watching the tape back, and there's a jump cut, kind of like how there's been jump cuts when Wanda is not happy with how things are going, so she erases it and jump cuts and stuff like that. So we see that there.
Yeah.
And then of course we see the scene where she's at the Avengers compound and she's lonely, and Vision, comes in, and that's where you see them start to kind of bond and develop their romance.
Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna backtrack a little bit more, Roxanne.
Sure.
So when we see Wanda with Hydra, I mean, they have her in this room, and they have Loki's staff right there. I did not know that Loki's staff really possessed the Mind Stone. I mean, it was covered in ice because Loki is, well, crystal ice, because Loki is referred to, he is like kind of related to ice giants in Asgard.
Yeah.
So that there was really that nice depiction there. So when Wanda, touches the Infinity Stone, which we don't know that it's an Infinity Stone at that point. It's blue. It just breaks open and explodes, and it turns yellow, and that's the Mind Stone. But she does see herself as the Scarlet Witch, which is so cool. I'm thinking that scene might even show up in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, because that is so cool, and it's not like some other actress. I really looked into the scene, and I paused the TV, and it really is her. The cheekbones and everything.
Elizabeth Olsen.
Yeah. It's really Elizabeth Olsen with her whole fortune teller, headpiece, and I'm so excited to see that, and I really hope that they go with that, because that is the Scarlet Witch to me. And she just gets a glimpse of her future in this episode, in that scene. It's just amazing, because she has so much connection with that Mind Stone, and it amplified her power, which Agatha found out, which is new, and this isn't in the comics. I mean, this is whole Marvel creative license right here. She was able to resurrect Vision from that, and I really do believe that Mind Stone is the reason why Vision she was able to bring back. So yeah, but I'm gonna let you continue.
Okay. All right, now we're going to talk about probably a big game changer scene, the scene where she visits S.W.O.R.D headquarters and meets Hayward. Now, for those of you that might remember, in the previous episode, he shows surveillance footage of Wanda breaking in and stealing him. Well, we see that didn't happen that way. She walks in there. The security guard lets her in. She meets Hayward. They look down and see what's going on, and eventually she leaves. So she didn't steal him at that point.
Yeah.
So that leads me to wonder whether Hayward is one of these people. Like, I think he's a timekeeper, because he was able to manipulate the footage to make it look like she broke in and stole him, even though that's not what happened. What's his name again? He begins with an I.
Immortus.
Immortus.
Master of all time.
I think he could be Immortus.
But he also transforms into King the Conqueror, which they're slaying for Young Avengers, but which that is ways away. So I would like to see him as Immortus first, if that is true. I mean, there is so much, just so much theories about Hayward himself.
Yeah,
I mean, like, who is he? Is he the Grim Reaper? Is he Immortus? Is he Nightmare?
No.
I kind of think that he is, or maybe even Mephisto himself, because Wanda goes to him, like asking to
bury him.
Yeah, to bury him, and that's all that she wants. But when she sees, like, when Hayward shows her Vision, that's not what he's expecting, and she's like, "Why are you showing me this?" And he's like, "Because you asked to see it." And she really didn't ask to see it. He wanted her to see it. And Nightmare, if it's one thing that Nightmare and Mephisto get off on, is just sadness, misery. I mean,
I'm thinking that he could be either those two, Grim Reaper. He can maybe even be a Skrull himself, which we'll get to in a little bit as well. But there is something up with Hayward, and I really kind of link this scene when Wanda's talking with him. You can see like a glare. Okay, it looks like lights in this like hexagonal window. Also, it's important to know that in his office, everything is set up as a hexagon. So I know that this guy is up to no good, and he has connections with the multiverse or just some dark entity.
Yeah, remember
If
in a
it's not
remember in a
himself.
previous episode he was talking to his staff
Yeah.
and he's like, "Does Wanda have a name?" And they're like, "Nope."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think so. That might have
I
been
mean,
that later on.
he was fishy from day one.
Yeah.
I mean, he really was. But yeah, this scene, if you look at the runes that I mentioned, it looks like this glare is kind of, it looks like it's the same, it depicts the same symbol as we saw in Agatha's lair when she held Wanda captive. So, I mean, I just don't know what's up with the guy, really. But he is devious. There is something that lies beneath with him. Whether we'll see it or not in WandaVision, because we have one episode left. I mean, I don't know how they're going to cram everything into everything.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to have you continue.
Okay, well, eventually she leaves there after seeing Vision getting taken apart to be made into a weapon. And she goes to, I guess she finds this deed that I guess Vision left for her, and it's in a place called Westview.
Yes.
It's falling apart. It's probably like what Gary, Indiana looks like.
Yeah,
It's a falling apart town. We see the characters as their real selves. She goes to this empty property. The house isn't there, and then she ends up using her sadness to create this house and change the town. And then we change into one of the last two game changers of the show. The first one is Agatha says Wanda uses chaos magic, which makes her the Scarlet, which again nickname that. Remember when Hayward, asked if she had a nickname. And then she has the boys there. So this is weird. You said that Agatha's not a villain, but she's coming across as a villain.
Oh my gosh, she's total villain in this, which is just like misleading to me with how she's depicted in the comics. Because I didn't expect her to be this dark.
Yeah.
But Catherine Hahn, I mean, again, her acting is just top notch with everything.
Yeah.
That she's doing in WandaVision.
Yeah.
I mean, she really's taken us on like a dramatic, dark ride with this character. So I'm just loving it. And of course she has in that scene, Tommy and Bille are, just gasping for their life. She has that her tendrils or whatever, her dark magic into them, and it's choking the life from them.
Yeah.
And I mean, Wanda, this doesn't sit well with her.
No.
Her babies are in trouble, and we're looking at a really big finale. I'm thinking, and it's going to open with that scene right there.
Yeah.
But before Wanda goes running, out of the house, it's really important to note that this house is actually nostalgic to, if you're a fan of like the Lucifer series, that house was in Lucifer as well.
Oh.
So it's just little Easter eggs here and there. But Lucifer's more of the DC universe, but yeah, that's there's a lot going on in this scene.
Yeah, I do like that we didn't have the S.W.O.R.D characters for most of the episode. We got to focus on Wanda and Agatha and what happened, but then, of course, the last game changer scene is the scene in the middle of the credits where I guess Hayward kind of created a new vision, from what I could tell.
Yes, yeah, a new vision. And if he was the Grim Reaper, that new vision also has Wonder Man's brain patterns as well. But this also could be taken as the West Coast Avenger vision, which they're ripping right from the comics with his white costume. He is a Centurion weapon is what they're calling him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to backtrack just a little bit to Agatha again.
Okay.
And she just when she finds out, you know, everything that Wanda has been up to, she's like, you know, she was like, I have a theory. You know, things are starting to add up to you, Buttercup, is what she tells Wanda in the episode. So I'm thinking that Agatha really thinks that Wanda is dangerous, and she even says that. But she's just not dangerous to Agatha. You know, she's dangerous to her master, which I think is Rob Thon. And I really want to touch on this. The pronunciation for Cthon, I think, is how we're saying it, but it also could be Chthon, because in the comics it's Chthon, and I thought, you know, it was going to be like a hyphenated, like C and all that. But it's really important to note that Stan Lee himself is born of Romanian Jewish descent, and Jack Kirby, who is like responsible like for the Inhumans and I'm sure like Cthon and all this. Who knows what was going on? I guess Cthon didn't like that. Who knows what was going on like through their heads, like when they were creating just this amazing the Marvel universe in themselves with what they have given us. So So Jack Kirby is also Austrian Jewish, and in Jewish culture, in the Hebrew language, the ch is a cha, you know, like a ka. So I'm thinking it is Cthon and not Chthon. So I really don't know. I just wanted to touch on that too. I also think that my whole theory about Cthon could be dashed as well, because Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, he does appear, you know, to Thanos, and he's really pissed at Ronan the Accuser, and Ronan just takes his hammer and he just doesn't like what Cthon is saying, and he snaps his neck and turns his head completely around. But Cthon himself is an elder god, and usually elder gods, the first god you would think is going to be immortal. So whether Cthon resurrects himself, I really think that Mephisto is a better choice for this series more than anything, because Bille and Tommy are the shards of his soul, and I'm thinking that Agatha is thinking the same thing, and like these little gremlins, they need to go back to hell, like where they're from. You know, we can't have this. So maybe Agatha isn't as dark as she's portraying, or maybe she just like, oh gosh, you know, Wanda is the Scarlet Witch. She could put an end to all this, and you know, my master Cthon or Mephisto, and I'm just thinking that's where it's headed. We really don't know Agatha's side at this point, and it is just mind-boggling to me, but also really exciting at the same time.
Yeah, for me, I think, you know, if you're doing a show
Yeah.
and not everybody is watching it because they may not have Disney
Yeah.
Plus, it would make sense to use an established
Right.
character like Cthon, because you saw him in Avengers and you saw him in Guardians of the Galaxy, and yeah, maybe his neck snap, but like you said, he's an elder god. He can fix himself. I'm sure he can do that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
I think it'd be if they try to introduce Mephisto, and then let's say he does show up in the new Doctor Strange movie. People that didn't watch WandaVision is like, who the hell is this guy? Where did he come from? Because they didn't watch the show. You know?
Right. So you're touching on a good point here, because so many people aren't probably watching Disney Plus. They are going to introduce these villains in a more broader span in the movies, because people will pay more to go to the movies. Of course, you know, with COVID and everything, we're not as able to as before, because I think movie theaters are at 25% still, And
Actually, I think 40 at least.
oh,
around here.
40
is
now. Okay,
40.
so it is getting better.
Yeah.
So maybe we have just a better chance of seeing these awesome, villainous characters in a broader span on the big screen. So I'm really thinking that you're onto something right there. And we are also it's also gonna be just done away with pretty soon with WandaVision, ending, and we're gonna go into a different universe with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, followed by Loki, and then Hawkeye and She-Hulk, and just all these wonders ahead. And I just cannot wait. But I really love how we're getting introduced to these new characters in the small screen before it hits the big screen, and I really do see Agatha being a part of that, or they could just destroy her and be done with her.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But I do see little leaks here and there that the whole family is going either against Agatha, or we got this new White Vision entering the mix, which I'm sure Hayward is making evil to stop Wanda. So I'm expecting just a huge finale again, and we're just going to have to see in episode 9.
Yeah.
We're just going to.
Yeah, well, I want to ask you something.
Yes.
This whole time, you kept saying the show should be like an hour, and these shows have been roughly around half an hour. Well, this episode is roughly about how an hour-long drama with the commercials taken out, because they're usually about 44 minutes. Do you think, having it as an hour drama worked compared to previously with these half-hour shows?
Yeah, I do. I really think that we had it. You're sure it was an hour?
Well, it was 47 minutes, but
Okay.
usually when you air a show on TV for an hour, there's like commercials, filling it up, and a show's usually about 44 minutes without the commercials.
Oh, okay.
So it would have been the equivalent of an hour drama.
I really miss the commercials, but of course we're not in those eras anymore. We
Yeah.
are in the full MCU.
Yeah.
And I really thought it worked.
Yeah.
I really thought it worked. I mean, it was quite entertaining. I really felt like I was watching a Marvel movie at this point, and I think that's what Marvel is really intending us viewers to see, that the full MCU, as we mentioned. But yeah, it's just, there's a lot of exciting things ahead, and I cannot wait for episode 9.
Yeah, I personally felt like the half-hour shows worked because the shows they were being based off of were half an hour. So I think those worked, and now that we're kind of we've moved away from the homages.
I mean, they did work. I'm not saying that they didn't, but I prefer an hour to a half an hour. I mean, most shows these days, especially I'll use DC as an example. I mean, they're doing this whole Superman get up with Lois and Superman now, which is actually a brilliant show. But it has to be an hour to get all that information into it. With the half an hour episodes, I could see it just being reminiscent of the sitcom era, which I know you love, because you're a classic kind of guy, Rob Thon. But I'm classic too. But it is this time period where most shows are an hour, and I mean I'm fine either way. Honestly, I really am. Okay, one more thing. I just really think that the Skrulls are all behind this too, because that Lieutenant Goddard, especially like in the ending scene, like Hayward,
is like up to something. So I think she was like really shifty when we were first introduced to her, and I'm really thinking that the Skrulls are behind this. The Kree could be behind this. Because again, like Centurion weaponry weapons are of Kree origin, and Ronan the Accuser himself was a Kree, because he has blue skin and all that. So I just don't know what to think, and
that's where I gotta leave it,
Yeah.
because I can theorize to the cows come home, Robson, and I could be I could be just dead wrong. So far about Mephisto, I am. I am. And you know what? I'm not ashamed to admit, because it takes a real man to admit his mistakes.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, and I don't know if you guys can see, but Darren had the Darren hold.
Oh yeah, it's the Darren hold.
The Darren hold.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait for this last episode. I mean, we'll see if it's going to be more than an hour, because you theorized it could be 2 hours, or depending on what needs to be covered or what have you.
Right. Well, I mean, where are we at now? I mean, just time wise, it was slated for 6 hours. They're even saying that Loki is 6 hours, and you know, and that's how much time we are spending with each character. So I really don't know where we're at time wise. I haven't did the math, but I'm really betting on a really huge finale here. If we don't get that, I'm gonna be quite disappointed. I'm gonna be honest with you. So
yeah, well, I gotta say, you know, this has been an interesting show. I mean, I know a lot of people thought it was just gonna be Wandavision recreating classic shows, but it's grown more than that.
Oh, much more.
Yeah.
And I mean, they actually said that, like Kevin Feige said, you know, this is unlike anything you've ever seen before, and you know, just the creators were excited, and for us fans to see it, and we have, and we are on board so far.
Yeah, and I like I said before, Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany were great at recreating, you know, the comedy styles of those old shows. They had the timing down perfectly, and it was great to watch. I mean, the good thing is, if I want to watch those early episodes again, obviously I can just go back and watch them.
Yeah,
you know, it's not like they're gone forever.
And no matter how many Easter eggs we find, I mean, at this point, it's just all up to Marvel, like what they decide to do at that time. I mean, they're gonna throw in like so many like twists and turns, you know, just to screw with us, and that's the fun of this, whether it's true or not. So I'm looking forward to more Easter eggs as Falcon and the Winter Soldier come, whether they're true or not, because it's impossible to enlist everything in the comics, because it's just so complicated in themselves. That's why I don't know, like, how Stan Lee and Jack Kirby did it. Were they gods themselves? I mean, at this point, I just don't know. But they really combined with Disney, they're really making things great for us fans, you know, in their wake, because they both did pass away, and what a wonderful tribute to see their legacy continues on, and it just goes on and on and on with Marvel, and now Disney. I mean, the power of Disney is so powerful, but Marvel as well.
Yeah.
And we get that with WandaVision, and we're gonna keep getting it in the MCU and through Disney features as well. So I'm really psyched. If you haven't seen Disney Plus yet, I mean, it's worth a subscription at $6.99 a month, and if you're done watching the shows, you could just get rid of it and then do it again. So, you know, so the choice is up to you, and well, we covered a whole lot of material.
Yeah, we did
here, and I'm quite exhausted. I'm going to close the Darren hold for now.
Yeah, we are.
And I guess we will see you back in episode 9 when we cover it, which
Yes.
I can't wait for.
Yes. Alrighty, well guys, thank you very much for watching. If you've got any theories of your own about what's going on, or if you have your own thoughts about the episode or about this, WandaVision review show we've been doing, feel free to put a comment in the comment box below. Please hit the like button and please hit the subscribe button. And of course, check out other reviews of movies, the other WandaVision shows, classic movies, contemporary movies. They're all there. There's quite a library of stuff for you to check out.
Yeah, just leave a comment. And I do want to address like one comment, like one of our viewers, or Orange Reel.
Yeah, Orange Reel.
He said like he's excited for the Fantastic Four, and I really do think that this is going to lead up to the Fantastic Four. I think we will see something of, whether it be Reed Richards or something going on. I'm really hoping that in WandaVision. So yeah, thank you for your comment, and also thank you, Chris Valencia, for your awesome comments as well. We really enjoy reading them. Guys, leave a comment, because we will definitely give you a shout out, and just make it worth your while as you make it worth our while.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Alrighty. So with that, have a mystical, magical night.
Yes. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.